Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining a very almost New Year edition of the Tim and Jim Show. I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Jim. I think I point that way.
You
You're
did
on,
it.
sir.
Awesome. And we are excited to have two of our favorite people that have been kind enough to have us on their show several times this year, Phil Gerbyshak and Christian Karasiewicz of Social Chefs and Social Chatter fame. And so let's hear from Phil.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Happy almost 2020. What is crack-a-lackin'? It's good to see everyone. Thanks for having us on, Jim and Tim.
Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, thanks.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you, by the way. Phil, you look very rested. I mean, I know you've been traveling a lot lately.
Yeah.
So whatever you're doing some body secret there, I think, but like you look like you're like 20 years younger. I mean,
that's what it is. Yeah.
So,
no, it's
thanks for having us.
All good stuff. Hey, see, hold on. Let's pull Madeira Beach is my happiest place. So not only do I love going here, but I also, when I wear this shirt, right, it's red and makes me feel strong. So I'm excited to be here.
Very cool. And color is important for branding, by the way. Color is
totally
very important for
branding.
Yeah.
Picking your colors, they all mean something. So
definitely
make sure, for 2020, and we haven't gotten to these yet, but make sure you actually think about what colors you're running on your website, what your logo has, what's the primary color. If you've got a little touch of red, for instance, in there, maybe you want to increase something, change it. So keep that in mind.
Right. And so we're going to be talking today about preparing for marketing, as I like to say, in the roaring 2020s, because as Phil and I talked about last week, everybody's going to talk about getting 2020 vision, and it's already old, right?
Yep. Yeah. Tim can't see today because he's got such good 2020 vision.
That's right. With an exclamation point.
Yep. Those are hot.
So Tim, you want to get us started with our first question of the day?
Sure, absolutely. So guys, how about let's start with Phil. Phil, what platforms are poised to have the biggest impacts on business as we enter the new decade?
Yeah, well, I'm going to give you two answers. One is going to surprise nobody, and that's my favorite platform, which is LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is going to impact business because it's going to be a platform where we can do things like this. You can have a live video, and then we're going to have a stream of comments like Twitter should have done years ago with the live Twitter wall. But I think the key is that LinkedIn is a business platform, so you don't see a lot of fake accounts. You don't see a lot of trolls, which is why it's even more important that you're intentional about who you add to your network. So LinkedIn being number one has video, has real-time conversations, has the ability to replay those videos, has the ability to add articles. As soon as they let me take my video and embed it in an article on LinkedIn Publisher, I'll be even happier. So that's my one platform. And then my second platform that I'm going to talk about is probably not all that sexy, but I think it's super important, and that is email marketing. If you don't have an email marketing plan, if you're not regularly, and by regular, I mean at least probably once a week, though I guess every other week could work, talking with your customers, with your prospects, and with people that are just suspects that have little interest in you but want a better relationship. If you're not doing that in 2020, you're going to be left behind, and not just 2020, but beyond, because permission is still the biggest asset you can get. It is not about likes, comments, shares, any of that stuff. It is permission. Seth Godin had it right in the early 2000s when he said permission marketing is it. So all these people that have bought followers, that have bought likes, that have bought comments, that are buying fake engagement, I think in the 2020s, we're going to see that those people fall by the wayside. You're going to stop investing with your ego. Instagram's already done this by not showing you how many likes you have. Twitter's not far behind. We're going to see the same thing on LinkedIn has done this, right? They show 500 plus, not 11,371 connections. So as soon as you hit 500, we're all the same. I think we're going to stop seeing a return on ego, start seeing a return on investment in the 2020s.
And I think that that is an amazing point to bring up. And I think, really, it's interesting. I think even just the whole likes and follows, I think we've all agreed that it really becomes about ego. And it's like, does that really sell anything? I think that's where I'm such a big fan of guys like Pat Flynn that talk about your super fans and having that engaged audience that is really going to help you grow your business. I was actually having an interesting conversation with Brian Wallace on Friday, and he talked about something that I never had really thought of it this way, but it's like, if you have a good brand and a good product or service, you don't need to advertise. And so why do people discount themselves at the holidays and do Black Friday specials and do Cyber Monday and all this other stuff? Because if your product or service is good, why do you want to cheapen yourself by, oh, I got to get these sales at the end of the year?
Yeah. Well,
that's actually
one question. Yeah, Christian, go.
That's a great point, because like when you talk about companies such as, like you talk about your Apples, I'm gonna use them as an example. They really don't advertise around the holidays. They used to do a few different ads for products and give some discounts, but they give very small discounts around the holidays. They don't need to. But the other thing they also do is, they trust that they want their their customers, like, they don't mind if they shop at Best Buy or they shop at a B&H Photo. They don't care where they shop, provided it's an Apple retailer, an authentic retailer, or a partner, basically. So they like the fact that, like, hey, we don't have to give discounts because our products stand for themselves. It's why you don't see like big brands like your Louis Vuittons, your Burberrys, places like that. They're not discounting their products either, because they want that brand cachet as well. I think the other side to that, about like not necessarily discounting, is the fact that, like, you're also, your business doesn't necessarily have to even be on social media. If you think about it, like, you don't have to have a huge presence if you have a good, strong brand. So that's like where, people, they join all these platforms because everybody says, hey, you need to have a presence, but that doesn't mean you have to be active on every one of those channels. Claim the name, keep it in your back pocket, and slowly roll them out as you start to build equity on each platform. I think those are some good examples there. But back to you guys.
Well, and I wanted to ask you, Christian, what do you think are going to be the biggest platforms? Just as Phil was telling us, what are your thoughts?
I think that WhatsApp is actually going to be, I'm still waiting for Facebook to do something with it. If you visit anywhere, for instance, like I'm currently in like Vietnam, WhatsApp is the primary channel that people are using to communicate. You're meeting like a little tiny vendor, for example, and and they're saying like, hey, you know what? I'm on WhatsApp. They don't have a website. They're using primarily that that private messaging feature, and that gets me to the second point, which is I think that private messaging, the big overarching piece, I think that is the platform that you want to actually be tapping into for 2020. And that could be Facebook Messenger. It could be WhatsApp. It could be, private Instagram messages as well. It could be, going back to Phil's point, it could be email also. Again, it's private conversations that you have with customers versus let me put everything out there and try to get people to talk about it versus, let me have that one-on-one connection with somebody, help them, and then at that point, move them towards a sale or get them to check out some of my products, but I don't have to be pushy at all. I'm helping people and then using private messaging, basically taking things off of social. I think it's called dark social, but taking it off of there, and primarily making it, like I said, dark social, more private messaging. That's what I see for sure in 2020.
Tim, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think that I don't know if this necessarily is going to have a big impact on 2020, but I hope that more businesses use Google My Business more. Not to steal your thunder, because I know you are the king of Google My Business, but I hope more businesses use it, especially as they roll out more features. You can use Google Posts, so Google My Business, and then I would, I think it's not a platform, but I think chatbots are going to become increasingly more popular, especially as they integrate more with text messaging and email marketing, like Phil was talking about. So I hope more businesses use Google My Business, and also, and I totally agree on LinkedIn as well. You can't get better organic reach than there right now. So those would be my predictions. Back to you, Jim. I like this back to you kind of thing. It's like we're on a TV show or something.
Well, I learned this from Phil last week, and I thought this would be really neat because this is the first time we've had 4 guests, and I think it's good to be able to put a little focus on the person making the comments. And so, but I have to agree with all you guys. I think LinkedIn, especially if you're in the B2B space, is extremely important. And I think people really need to take a hard look at how they're interacting with Google, because of the fact that when you really think about it, people search for the solution to their problem on search engines. Google My Business is one of the first places you have an opportunity to shine. They keep adding new features. The ability to message your customers through Google My Business, I think is powerful. But I really, in a sense, am going almost all in on LinkedIn. I think Facebook is, in a sense, I look at it as the yellow pages of old, and that you got to have a presence there. It doesn't mean that you have to be active unless you're really working with consumers.
Interesting. I think that's a good point. I would tell you, any of the platforms, your point, anytime you can communicate directly with people, you stand a much better chance of being successful. I want people, one of the trends that I think people are going to see is we're going to see less marketing, which is often just kind of out there, and we're going to see more conversations, more sales. So if you think that, oh boy, I don't want to be in sales, you're probably not going to be in business for the whole 2020s. You're probably going to be working for somebody else. And that's okay if that's what you want. But I just want to be clear, folks, you have to be able to do some demand generation. So you have to understand what the heck people need. You have to really find a way to have private conversations. And you really, really have to find a way to get people to share with you what their needs are beyond just what they say, right? Like what really hurts them in their business. And often it isn't going to be something that you can directly provide. You may need to partner with somebody else in order to provide a bigger solution, because I think solution selling, right, started out in the 80s, but we're going to see more of a solution-based approach. We're going to see, for a small business, you're going to need to partner with people that can help you provide a larger scale solution on that to actually deliver something that is of value instead of just an easy, simple fix. Because frankly, I'm going to go to Walmart or Amazon or Etsy and order something that's a quick fix. But for something that's longer lasting, something that's more massive, something that really changes the game, you're going to have to partner up, and you're going to have to be unafraid to say, you know what, it isn't just me that can provide the solution. I need to bring in Christian and Jim and Tim in order to provide the solution.
Right. And I'd also say to that, you also should set deadlines for anything that you're trying to do or that you're trying to accomplish. So like we're talking 2020. I realize, 2020 is here in a couple of days here. What is it? 30th. So, 2 days, right? So you do though need to start setting some deadlines, like start to not just say like, oh, let me work a couple of days ahead. Like maybe that's the first step. But push things out. Okay, what do I want to get done in the next couple of weeks? What do I want to get done in the next couple of months? Maybe set some long-term goals of, hey, in the next, quarter, what do I want to accomplish? And don't be afraid to take that first step. A lot of people, they keep saying, well, hey, I'm going to create that course. And now you look back to, well, what did I do in 2019? Oh, I didn't get it done. Oh, I'll get it done in 2020. You keep moving the goalposts, plant that flag, and then hire the right people. And I think then, put your idea into play, and don't worry what people think. Actually, that's the key thing.
Right. And so we're going to go to our next question, and we'll start with you, Phil. What content will continue to resonate with your audience?
Yeah, well, I think smaller and smaller, nichier content is really going to be important. My focus in 2020 has been before was sales. The universe is enormous. And I've realized that I can't serve all sales professionals. I need to serve inside sales. So I'm really, I'm honing down my target to be focused on inside sales professionals. I'm not telling you that I want train enterprise folks or regional folks that are out there driving or seeing face to face, because I think that's important. But a lot of the skills, right? A lot of this is done via the phone. So for me, I'm going to target down a smaller subset of my bigger audience. And I think by addressing that, by saying that, by really honing in on who I'm going after, I can really go a lot deeper. And when I think about resonation with audience, I want to be clear here. I'm not talking, again, likes and comments and shares. I'm talking people that actually have real sales conversations with me. One of the sales teams that I train, like at Vector Solutions, I make sure that my team is really focused and then offering relevant value to the audience. We serve fire departments, for instance, and we have to make sure that the content that we provide is specific right at that fire department. Then we drop another fire department's name, that it is relevant, and it has to be relevant in size, has to be relevant in problems, it has to be relevant often in geography. Those are the things that are going to really resonate with people, because frankly, I don't want to hear about the great ideas that you have for snowshoeing in Utah when I'm here in Tampa, Florida. That doesn't resonate with me. I don't care if it's the same answer. I need to be really clear that you're talking to me. In fact, I would say one of the big things that's going to focus that content is the fact that we're going to have that kind of call and response, if you will. That's why the Google Home, that's why the Amazon Alexa, that's why the Apple Home, right? All these devices, that's why they're so powerful, is because they're right for me. I know that they know me. I know that the answers they provide are relevant to me, and I continue to learn. I think about, like, when I search even for contacts, it's getting so smart. It's showing me first the people that I've recently contacted, because if I'm looking for Stephanie, I want to make sure that it contacts the right Stephanie, not a Stephanie that I met 37 years ago, but the Stephanie right now that's in my life. And I think that's true for customers, it's true for prospects, it's true for everyone. We have to be really clear on who we're talking to, because that's the content that's going to resonate in 2020 and beyond.
That's some powerful stuff. And so, Christian, let's get your thoughts.
So I think that the most popular content for 2020 is actually, I think it's going to be video, but I think it's going to be, and I'm going to play this. It's two different things, basically. It's not just, doing live video or doing pre-recorded videos. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. What I think is going to be very useful are very short and very focused pieces of video content. Jem, over the past couple of months, I mean, you and I, we've experimented with quite a number of tools, like for creating content. And what we come to find is that editing doesn't have to take a very long amount of time. I mean, you set it up, you don't have to like spend hours trying to get it perfect. You want to just get it as close to being finished and get it out there. And a lot of people, they struggle with, well, hey, I need to make this really long, slickly produced video. And it's like, no, you just need to actually create content that your customers, go back to Phil's point, that they are interested in seeing. So I think that like short video content is going to be very important. For example, let's say somebody's going to take an Uber somewhere, and like playing to Phil's point, like Uber knows, okay, that ride is going to take like 10 minutes, so what I think we're going to start to see maybe a very focused 10-minute video, so that you get finished. It's going to actually, help you learn something, or you're going to take something away versus like, oh, hey, it's a 10-minute video. Oh, I got to get another Uber or something like that to actually watch that video. I hope that makes sense. Now, the flip side of that I think is also really important is not to follow the trends that, or I don't say trends, maybe don't follow like what everybody's doing. So for example, I still think podcasting is really important. I think a lot of people, a lot of businesses don't tap into that at all. I think that live video is important as well. I think that pre-recorded videos is also equally important. But the thing you have to look at is, what is your message and who is the audience you're trying to reach with that content? Because you might determine, for example, that, hey, while a podcast is like the hot new thing, for example, or even though it's been around, it's still getting some traction, it might not fit with the audience you're trying to reach. So I would say, creating video content, I think it's important. Small micro bites of content, something like under, a 5 to 7 minute piece of content that is created. But the key thing is to not get stuck on, well, hey, it's the new, it thing that I need to try. Instead, I need to try it. And then if it doesn't work, I need to talk to my audience and find out what they want, what works for them. So back to you guys.
Well, and I think that's pretty amazing stuff. And so let's hear from Tim, who's got the 2020 vision for us today, and see what his thoughts are.
Yeah, I love what you guys have to say about audience. I would also say, in terms of audio, I remember quite a number of years ago, I was attending a conference here. I'm in New York City today, and I was at a conference here in the city, and it was journalism related, but they were saying that the future is audio. And I hear from so many people that they listen to podcasts. I work with clients that have podcasts, and I really think that audio is going to continue to rise, whether it's podcasts, Alexa flash briefings, etc. I really think audio is going to continue. I know sometimes it doesn't get enough credit or enough coverage in the media, but I really feel audio is going to make a big impact in 2020. Back to you, Jim.
Yeah, I think you guys have all brought up some great points, and so I'm going to be brief in my thoughts on this. I mean, I think because I know Christian and I have talked about this a lot. Mm-hmm. It does go back to the niche audience and not trying to be all things to all people. So you really have to target your market and understand what they mean. And this is going to kind of tie into our next question about being more human. I've started to see this if you want to call it, rise of people wanting to share a pre-recorded video on their live stream. And I almost call that just lazy marketing, right? If you're going to be live, be live. If you're going to be recorded, be recorded, and, just deal with it. And I just, it's better to put out good content than it is just to put out content. And I think that's what people are missing the point of. They think that, oh, I'm going to create video and I'm going to get all these people to my page, or I'm going to run a Facebook ad. I'm going to get all these people to convert. So I think it goes back to creating quality content that adds value no matter what platform. And the tools that are coming out now allow us to repurpose our live into other types of content that are going to resonate with our audience.
Awesome points, Jim. I think that's really important. When you talk about quality content, Christian mentioned short content. I would tell you, think in terms of segmentation of your content so that you can break it apart into logical segments. Like we're doing on this show, you notice there's a question, there's time for one answer, there's time for two answers, there's time for a third or fourth answer. That's a segment, folks. And if you can think in terms of segmentation and not just blah, 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 but really, how do I chunk that up into something valuable that perhaps people can get enough value just from one segment that they don't have to subscribe to the whole thing. I think that's really important. I think we're also going to see, as podcasts become more and more popular, we're going to see the chapterization of podcasts, where we'll have to put a stop mark so that you can fast forward to the next segment. So you can fast forward to the next segment. So you can fast forward to the next segment. I really think that's going to be important. And then, remember, as you do that, you can use that on every other platform, not the whole thing, right? Some people don't want the whole thing. If I go to Instagram stories, I want to see 15 seconds of content, right? If I go to IGTV, I want to see 10 minutes. If I go to Facebook Live, I might want to see half an hour. If I go to LinkedIn Live, I want to see more than 15 minutes. I might want to see 1 minute on my regular Instagram or on my Twitter. So it's really important that you really think about what's the platform, and don't be a lazy marketer, right? Eddie Garrison called this out in his media creation group the other day. He's like, people that say link in bio on an Instagram post that they share to their Facebook are so lazy. And I get it, you're busy, but here's the thing. If you accidentally do that, or you do it on purpose even, go and edit the comment. It takes 1 more second to click on the 3 dots and edit it in there, and then don't even include the link, or tell people, right, here is the link. Because once you post it, if there's no link, the platform basically counts to 30 and says, well, there's no link, therefore I'm going to still prioritize it. We can go back and edit it and add the link in with no preview. And if people are interested, you're going to drive them to see it or add it in the first comment. Either way, you could totally do that.
Right. So, Tim, you ready to ask the next question?
Drum roll, please. How can businesses make their social media more human and deliver superior customer experience? Christian, let's start with you this time.
So I think for this, you need to, I like automation to a certain degree, but you want to take some of that automation out of the equation. So for example, you don't want to automate your entire business. A lot of people, and they unfortunately still say this, they say, hey, set up a social media dashboard and put all your content in there and just hit schedule and let it all go out. Going to Phil's point here, it's sort of lazy marketing. If you're not able to keep up with that and you think that automation is the key, then you need to really scale back to where, okay, I'm only going to do one platform and I'm not going to focus on the other ones. A lot of people, what they do is they think that some person I saw at a conference told me to do this. And it's well, don't believe everything you hear all the time. test it out with your audience, see what actually works. So I think the key thing is going to be set some expectations for yourself. So for example, if somebody, for example, sends you a message through your Facebook page, set up the feature where you can have an auto reply going back to them, says, hey, you know what? We respond in 24 to 48 hours or something to that effect. And then hold yourself accountable to respond in 24 to 48 hours. I think that's a key thing, I think, to one, partly being human, because you're able to use automation, but you're also able to tell them, well, hey, you know what? I will actually respond to you and do it. I think you win more, you get some points basically with the audience doing that. I think it's really, really, really important. And I think overall, I mean, just, just trying to be more human, just actually like helping people, like don't just try to let's see. So like participate, for example, go on some Facebook groups, go on some, some Facebook pages, join some, different communities around topics that you're good at or you're passionate about. That could be on Facebook. It could be on LinkedIn. It doesn't really matter. But take the time to pop into those. And also, I think in order to be more human, I think that just respond. And actually, Pat mentions this quite a lot, actually. It's just the idea, though, of responding to each and every response that somebody gives you. Like if you can't answer it, for example, or maybe you don't have, an article or something that helps somebody, send it off to somebody else that that can help. Don't try to fake it, but at the same time, make sure you're still adding value and helping people. So that's my takeaways.
Good stuff. And Phil, let's hear some more wisdom from you, because I know we're definitely going to get some.
Yeah. So, being more human, I think, is super critical for every brand. And how do we do that is by actually being more human. I can't oversimplify this enough, but so many miss this, right? So think about, you're on the platform as a person, or you hire someone who's on the platform that gets your voice, that understands who you are. How would you respond if your mom was sitting right next to you? How would you respond if your wife was sitting right next to you? How would you respond if grandma was in the same room posting on Facebook and asked that question? That helps humanize me a lot, I know, because I always put people in the center of everything that I do, right? If I'm thinking about the relationship that I have with I'm going to call my friends, whether it's my Facebook or my LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever, they're my friends. They're people that I want to spend more time with. And I'm going to use a lower F friend, not the capital F friend, but lower F friends, right? People that I have an opportunity to connect with. And I'm not going to use the word fans, because they might not be fans, right? Fans short for fanatic, but friends, right? People that I want to get to know more, that I want to help more, that I would let into my living room. Now, some people I don't know well enough, right? They might be spammers, stuff like that. That's okay. But how do I do that? I put them at the center and I think, how would I respond if they're sitting right next to me and they were someone that I cared about, someone that I loved, someone that I really wanted a relationship with? And with that, whether it's unique content or it's unique comments, it's important that we have this conversation with people and we think about how we have this. One of my friends jokes that I often get the last word on social, because my goal is to answer every question you have to make sure that you're fully and completely satisfied. And when I think about customer experience means giving an experience to those that you want to do business with. Customer, once they buy, that's how they become a customer, but I want to treat them like a customer. That also means I'm not giving first-time visitors some discount to get them in because I train them to discount. It also means that I'm not running ridiculous promotions and trying to just get a bunch of cash in the door. And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? Let me be clear. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just not how I work. I bring great value. I don't bring great volume. I can't serve 1 million people. In fact, right now, I'm a VP of sales training at a software company. I can't coach many people right now. Those that I coach get all of me, which is really a small finite amount, because it's just me. This is, again, where we get back to my point before, where we have to smart partner. I had a conversation this morning with someone that he asked what the logical next step was for a course that we're working on. And I said, well, coaching, of course, but you're going to take the coaching because I don't have time to do it. And he's like, well, what do you want for that? I'm like, nothing. You're going to add value to these people. That's how this is going to work. And I think we have to think about that. The answer cannot always reside within me. I have to be willing, if you're a human company, you have to be willing to refer away. You have to be willing to smart partner, and you have to be willing to say, not me. No. No is a complete sentence, although my friend Christy Lamagna would say, no, thank you is the complete sentence that you're looking for, because you want to be polite. You don't just want to say no.
I think it's a great point, Phil. Fantastic point, actually.
Wow. I'm just going to say, wow.
Thank you.
Tim, it's your turn.
So I think a lot of times businesses forget to surprise and delight their customers, right? Whether it's somebody who already engages with you a lot on social media, or maybe it's a potential client, maybe it's, you know, somebody you know, and I don't know, a relative has cancer and they're looking for donations or something. Like, how can you personally affect their lives? You know, maybe you just give something small away that you know is, maybe they like Dunkin' Donuts like I do, and maybe you send them a $5 gift card, right? How can you surprise and delight them in 2020? That's going to make an impact on them going forward. Back to you, Jim.
That's some good stuff. And so I'm not going to take too long, but I think Phil hit on an extremely critical major point, and that's we don't have the capability to serve 1 million people. I don't know of any agency that can serve 1 million people well, let alone at all. And I think, and it was talked about earlier, I think is by Phil as well, it is about collaboration. I mean, I think one of the most amazing things is the four of us are on this show together, and up until March of this past year, Tim, you and I had not even met. So we have developed online relationships. We've gotten to build know, like, and trust by being real online. And people that have met us in person say, wow, you're the same person that you are online. And if you're not, then stop. Be real, right? I'm really enjoying reading Ryan Folan and Leonard Kim's book, Ditch the Act. It really talks about be yourself. People can relate to you. You know, don't, my friend Jeff Sheehan put a post on LinkedIn. Don't sit there and connect with someone on LinkedIn, and then the next thing you do is try to sell them. I don't know you. I mean, how am I supposed to buy from you if I don't even know you and you don't know me? You don't know what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for HR support. I don't have any employees, but you think I do? You obviously haven't taken the time to get to know your customer. So be human. Just help people, add value to their life. It doesn't always have to be about what's in it for you, but what can you do to help your fellow business owner or consumer out there get the solution to their problem?
Yeah, and solve bigger problems, right? I think that's really important. You talked about collaboration, right? So again, right, we're married, we're as a family, we're gonna solve bigger problems, right? If we work together, we're gonna solve bigger problems. If we're an agency, I mean, you might have Instagram, I might have LinkedIn, Christian might do Twitter, somebody else might do Facebook, right? And that's fantastic. And I think the more we can do that, the better we all can be. But we so often miss that. We so often miss that because we think, oh, I want all the pie. Well, here's the thing. Marcus Buckingham wrote in Now Discover Your Strengths that 10 to 20% of the time, most of us get to work in our gifted zone. So that means if I work a 10-hour day, that's 1 to 2 hours a day in our gifted zone.
Mm-hmm.
That means we're tired by the end of the day. But let's flip that over. And I'm just going to talk about how, because I mean this, I'm super blessed. I get to do what I love most days, 40 to 60% of my day, which is 2 to 3 times more than anybody else does. And I know because of that, I know that I can do so much more. I mean, Christian, you kind of joke, man, that I look rested. I am rested. I get to do what I love, man. I'm a sales trainer. I love to help people sell more. It just lights me up. Now, yeah, do I have to do paperwork sometimes? Absolutely, right? At Vector, we've all got work to do, but I get to train. In my office, I've got a whiteboard. I can train on my wall in my office. And think about you now, folks. If you're listening to this, think of how much more you could contribute if you took the time first to understand your giftings, and then second to plug into those and kind of delegate, outsource, smart partner, hire someone, whatever you want to call it, to someone who can then help you get even more of your time back to do the things that you're most especially gifted at. How much better could your life be?
By the way, I want to jump on that real quick. So like the fact that you're talking about people finding what their gift is, like it's spending their time, that small amount of focus time that they have, every single day doing what it is they love. You hear a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, hey, I quit my 9-to-5 job or something like that. And people are trying to fit that square peg in the round hole. So for example, like, maybe for instance, and this is going to get into like the entrepreneur side of things, but like maybe being the entrepreneur is not the thing that they are necessarily good at. So for example, it's like you said, it's finding what it is you love to do and think about like what you do on a daily basis. What is it that energizes you to where like, hey, you know what? I spend, 80% of my week doing one task, for example. It's something I'm really good at. Like, hey, okay, I'm going to get really good at this. And then, okay, what can we do to like push that up, level up a notch versus like, oh, let me try to fit this, like this job that like maybe I'm not really cut out to do it. What can I do to offload those tasks? It's a different approach, that you bring up, Phil. And I think it's a good approach versus trying to fit like, oh, I don't want to do a 9-to-5 sales job, for example, if that's not your thing and you're going to struggle at it, or you're going to be a developer or anything like that. Have someone else do that and focus on the task that you are good at that will help drive things.
And that you enjoy. You said right. Remember the passion, though. Something that you enjoy, and it isn't going to be 100% of the time, right? So it's not just good at, but you have to be passionate about it too, so you can drive it. And I'm not telling you that you need to quit your job. I want to be really clear. I jumped back into corporate this year because I love to train. I love to train, right? So I jumped back in because I wanted an opportunity to train more, to lead people more. That's my gifting, right? So I'm passionate about that. It means saying no to a lot of stuff, though. And it's really hard because I get pulled in a lot of times to do other stuff. But I also leave myself some margin. And I would encourage the folks listening here, add some margin into your life. If you want to be more human and deliver better experience, add some more margin so that your customers can ask questions and help you create things that are even better for them than you could have ever imagined on your own. Because if you're busy just running on that darn hamster wheel, you're never going to be as creative as you could be as if you had just a little bit of margin, an hour a day, 30 minutes a day, just to really play and to have some fun.
Right. So I'm going to go with our next question here, and we're going to start with Tim on this one. What are your favorite tools as we start the new year?
I would have to say my number one favorite tool is Agora Pulse. I brought a freelancer on more than 6 months ago now, and Agora Pulse is making my life much simpler in terms of the features they have in terms of scheduling out content, social listening, being able to review and approve content from my freelancer. And they also have amazing reporting that I can provide to my clients and customize as well. So I would say Agora Pulse is my number one tool. I'm also loving Wave.video, and they're also in the process of expanding their offerings. They're actually going to have a video, I think they call it a video funnel system or something like that. So I would say my number 1 and 2 tools right now are Agora Pulse and Wave. Back to you, Jim.
Good stuff. And so, Phil, you want to let us know what your favorite tool is?
Sure. Well, I'd like to offer 2 as well. So my first one, if anybody's ever heard me before, I gush about this tool, honestly, every time I get asked about the tool. It's real simple. It's otter.ai. Otter is just an incredible tool for me. It will transcribe a conversation that I have. Again, ask for permission, but I can set it in the center of the table in person and we can transcribe a real conversation. Or if we do a video like this, I can take the MP3 or the MP4 down and I can then upload it to otter.ai and it'll transcribe it for me. And as it gets smarter, it recognizes the names that I use frequently and it recognizes the voices that I use. And if you sign up for an Otter account and I interview you, here's what's really cool. And you do this, it'll start recognizing your voice in my account. So I no longer even have to tag you. It's really a slick tool. That's my number 1 tool, otter.ai. I can't recommend it highly enough. For $100 a year, it is unbelievable. There is a free version too, but I'm telling you, it's worth the $100 a year. And then the other one that I'm going to give you is, because I'm a sales trainer, I think it's really important that we really kind of niche our stuff down, that we really lock in, that we save as much time as we can, because the more time we can save, the more that we can invest in other things, because we all get the same amount of time. We still all have the same things that we want to do, but the key is to spend the time doing revenue producing activities as much as we can. So my tool is Zoom Video, Zoom, zoom.com, zoom.us will get there as well. They have the Otter transcription behind the scenes, and it allows me to go video to video with people so that now I can have that, and it's private so that I can get that. It transcribes, it saves in the cloud, and I can share a link so that you can get that as well. So in private one-on-one coaching, I can use that, and I can also have my team then use that so that they can either use otter.ai if they're just going to do text. Otter's a way to go, but if they want to use video, then Zoom Video is a fantastic way to go. A great investment of my time, great investment of my resources, and it pulls it down so that now I can repurpose some of those coaching things that I provide and turn those into content for folks so that I can get more sales. And I think that's really, really important. So otter.ai and zoom.us.
Good stuff. And I'm glad I used both of them. So it must mean I'm listening to Phil.
I hope so, Jim. Thanks, man.
So Christian, I know you are like, I sometimes almost call you like Tool Time, right? You remember that show?
I will say, so while you guys are like rattling off tools, I'm over here like, okay, what do I share? So I think that one tool, at least for me, that I think is a very useful tool, especially for 2020, is Content Samurai. Mm-hmm. So I look at it like this. So if somebody wants to create a video, like I said, you have to either hire a video editor or you film the stuff yourself and try to figure out how to actually do editing. So what Content Samurai does is you can actually type out your script and it will go through and it will automatically use a little artificial intelligence here. It will look at the wording that is in the text, for example, and then what it will do is it will select the different images maybe that go into a scene, and then it will add the transitions and also the music for you. So it does everything for you. Now, what's great about it is I can go back and I can make edits. So I can start off at level 1, which is like, hey, I don't know how to produce video, and I can throw everything in Content Samurai and produce that way. Now, how do I level that up? I can add my own images. I can add my own video content. I can add my own music. I can add anything else I want to the content once I've kind of gotten over that level 1. So that's one tool that I definitely would recommend. And now a second one that I wanted to recommend, this one is, I'm actually looking through this. This is actually another tool where I think there's a lot of usefulness. It's actually Rocketbook. Now, for those of you, you go to a meeting and like we take things on phones. So like studies have shown, and I like studies, but like I can tell you this works. So Rocketbook is basically a bit of it's a paper notebook / whiteboard type material in a notebook. But where it's really cool and really useful and handy is that instead of having all these different things written around, on my desk, maybe I put something on the whiteboard. Maybe I have a stack of paper that I obtain here. So the way it works is you write everything in the notebook, you open their mobile app, it will automatically digitize it for you. It does OCR, character recognition on it. And then what's really cool about it is, let's say, for example, somebody was taking notes during this meeting. I don't know who was assigned to do that, but what it does is you can set it up to automatically send it out to people based on just checking a box. It scans a QR code, which you may have heard, about 10 years ago. But QR codes, it basically will scan it, and then based on the boxes you check, it will automatically send them out to the people that you want to send it to. So, for example, if you have an assistant, or maybe you have a virtual assistant, you make some notes. Hey, these are things I want to get done today. You quickly scan the page with their app, and then you just check the box, and it automatically goes to your virtual assistant. Hey, I want to email it to myself, and then have a filter set up. I check a box, it emails it to myself, and then it automatically applies the filters, and everything's ready to go. Those are actually 2 tools that I would recommend. And they're not like, it's a live video tool. Like, no, they're not those kinds of tools. They're useful tools that, you can help declutter your office. You can use it, for example, if you're like, say you're on a plane, take your notebook along with you, jot some things down. And then also, because you are actually writing it down, you actually will retain the information much better. So Rocketbook and Content Samurai, those are 2 tools I'd recommend checking out for 2020.
Wow.
This thing, you mean this Rocket Book?
Yes.
There,
Yes. Do you have one? I have one as well, actually.
Of course I do. I have
And I have one because of Christian.
Yeah, I have the new Fusion because, of course, it comes in orange. So that's my favorite color. But yeah, the new Fusion is fantastic. I love this. And I love the transcription too, man. The fact that it does OCR, great tool, Christian. Good call, buddy.
By the way, I also have the beacons as well.
Yeah, I just got those too.
Yes.
Turn your whiteboard into a transcription mode. I mean, it's awesome.
Right. And so my favorite tool is, believe it or not, we're using it today, StreamYard. I mean, StreamYard changed the ability of what Tim and I were able to do with this show back in February of this year. And it's no longer a beta product. The stuff that they have done, the fact that we're able to have all the questions pre-populated, they've come up with this ticker. So now, like as an example, you can see we're asking you to subscribe to the Tim and Jim Show, or we can ask you to subscribe to the Social Chefs YouTube channel. You can use this. You can multi-stream on both their basic and their professional plan to up to 5 platforms with a professional. So that's how we're able to go live to Facebook, to YouTube, and LinkedIn all at the same time. They've added in Twitch. You can download the audio and the video right after the show is done to repurpose it in your own way, so you don't have to go to the platforms. You can even record without going live on any platform. I mean, they have a free version. Probably, I would say, one of the best customer experiences I've ever had. Gage and Dan, the co-founders, are literally there for you. They answer questions in the group. I don't know how they're able to do it. Just an incredible program. And then another program that I've learned about recently from Jeff C. is Descript. Descript is a pretty interesting tool because it allows you, whether it's your podcast or your videos, to upload them. It will transcribe it with the pro version. And when you make corrections to the text, if, as an example, let's say we had a lot of ums and ahs, if you cut that out of the transcript, it will also adjust the video to take that out, and it's seamless. So those are probably my 2 favorite tools in regards to that. And so I think all these tools that everyone has brought up are just some amazing things.
Awesome.
But
wow.
The fact that we're talking about like AI, like the audio feature, it's definitely like it's a time saver. So for example, if you're like, hey, I can't afford a virtual assistant, for example, in my business, then consider, if I do a lot with audio, it might be worth having that tool or tapping into an Otter, for example, tying those tools together and letting the AI piece handle some of the pieces that like typically take a lot of time, like video editing. A lot of times somebody's got to listen to it, and then they have to have to pause, and then they have to like quickly like remove things from the video. But the fact that you can remove it the opposite way, which is remove the text to update the audio, to update the file, that is actually a big time saver overall. So keep that in mind. And I think, how much is that one a month? I mean, I don't think it's very much, right?
Right. I think 14, and it's cheaper if you go annual.
Yeah. Wow. So well worth it.
Yeah. And so, Tim, you want to ask the final question for today, and we're going to keep everybody on screen so we can see the reactions to this question.
What is your bold prediction? Does that mean like bold font? No. For social media in 2020. Phil, you are on first.
Oh boy! So I wanted to make a Helvetica joke, but I figure that's kind of out of style. Maybe I'm too italic for that. So yeah, I'll go bold. So my big bold prediction is that some company comes along and actually gives Facebook groups a run for its money. I think Facebook has spent a lot of money on their groups, and I really don't like the way they're going. Now, I would say whoever that is, by December, they'll likely be bought by Facebook because they have so much cash. But I think somebody's going to come along. I don't think it's Mighty Networks, though. I think it's someone that we haven't seen before. I think it could be maybe the guys at Color that came out and they totally ate it on Color because they're smart guys. I could totally see it out of there. But I think there is a lot of space for more private groups. And I think that Facebook, unfortunately, because they've only given us 2 options for groups, that they have not given us enough, which then fortunately gives some upstart an opportunity to come clean. So that's my big prediction. Somebody comes along and gives Facebook groups a run for their money. And it won't be LinkedIn either. Let me be clear. I don't think this company exists. I don't think they're doing groups yet today.
So that's a very good prediction, Phil. I think that from a company that might come along also to consider, you might want to consider like a Buddy Boss. That one has a bit of an online community as well. There's also, I think, Tribe. I think, Jim, you and I have looked at Tribe before. Those might be something to also look into if you're looking to move off of Facebook.
So, Christian, what's your bold prediction?
So, wow. So this is tough, actually, because I missed my own show to give my own prediction. So I think that, let's see. So what do I think my prediction is going to be for 2020? I think I'm going to predict moving to more private messaging. I think that people are going to move off of social media a lot. I think actually in a way, I think we're going to start to see people pull back. I think they're going to pull back from social media. Actually, they're going to move into the private conversations. I mentioned that earlier, but Facebook, but they'll use just like say Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp. I know Facebook at some point will like unify all of these, but I think they're going to be maybe spooked a bit by the fact that like, oh, well, now all my content is still on Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp. And now they're going to, Facebook had a rough 2019. So I think that people are going to move off of that. I think they might actually I hope they go back to their website or their Google My Business, their listing there and get that stuff cleaned up. I think that people are going to move there because, like I said, I think they're going to be a bit hesitant to start to give information to Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp. Like, I know it's already out there, but they're going to be, I think, hesitant to do more of that, knowing that there are concerns or there have been concerns. There's a lot, you can't just like wipe that on, put that under the rug. Like, you do have to like do something to fix that. So that's what I think is going to happen.
Especially with politics, right, Christian? I mean,
right.
We're coming up in an election year. I think we're going to see a lot of that social media fatigue. And
right.
People don't want to, I mean, like it or not, right? People are political, but they don't want to be that publicly because trolls come and get them, right? They want to hide. So great prediction, dude. Solid.
And by the way, there's also a lot of like repercussions that are starting to come out as well because of that. Somebody wants to go apply for a job and they're, somebody's digging up like, hey, a past post about you, like, oh, well, hey, now, you're no longer with the company necessarily. Or the other thing you're also seeing happening, people are, not just applying for jobs. It could be like somebody who could be an athlete, that like, it's not necessarily about like, oh, let me just have this big social media presence. I do have like all the stuff I've done in the past. I can't just wipe that away. So like, it all exists. So you do have to keep that in mind. So like, I think that, like you said, with elections, it's definitely going to play a bigger role in, I think, what people share. So thanks.
Tim, what's your prediction?
My prediction is that, well, I have a few ideas. I think one isn't exactly social media related, so I'm breaking the rules here a little bit, but I think people are starting to have more of they want to have more in-person experiences. I think they're getting tired of all the banter going on social media. I'm not saying kill your social media for your business at all, of course, because it's still important to reach those people and engage with them. But I think that as a business, by providing, depending on the business, of course, but providing in-person workshops or in-person educational events or just opportunities for networking with other people within your industry, I think that's really, really important in 2020. I also think, reiterating what I was saying before about audio, I really think audio is going to make a huge explosion in 2020 and, figuring out. And it's so easy now, like with StreamYard, we can download the audio and the video separately, repurposing your content. Hi, Lisa. Thanks for watching. So my big, bold predictions are more in-person experiences, which, of course, you can connect with your social media, right? Connect with people in person or vice versa, and then meet with them the other way and have continue the conversation. And also repurposing your content into audio.
Right.
Awesome suggestions.
So I don't know if mine's the boldest, but the sleeping giant is Amazon. Amazon is going to take flash briefings to a whole nother level. Flash video. The Echo Show is their foray and their entree into that. You can already watch video on the Echo Show. So they are the sleeping giant that perhaps can slay the Lord of the Rings Facebook and take that ring back so that Facebook falls by the wayside. They have more data than any of us. They know our shopping habits. They've got reviews. They've got it all in one package. And so, you know, Amazon's already starting to have the ability for creating for products. So I think they're going to take that next step and go to video. I mean, they've got the cloud, they've got everything else. I think they move into the video, and it gives creators an opportunity to take their flash briefings, turn them into flash video that then you can then drive people to wherever you'd like them to go.
Awesome. I'd love to see that. I think it'd also be a social network, right? I mean, to your point, I really think that between Amazon and Apple, they're going to have to come up with some, because, you know, think about it. Music is often the great uniter. Music and movies, pop culture is the uniter. And Amazon and Apple have more of that. And now Disney too. I think Disney's going to, that Disney Plus, right? Don't laugh, but it could be Google Plus. When I really think about it, right? We could start watch parties on Disney Plus, where we could then have conversations in the sidebar very differently than before. So that maybe that's our groups app, right, Jim? I mean, that could be, guys. I'm not surprised by that. I think we have to give people the experience they want. You asked about humanizing. Remember that being human means having human elements, which means really being human. And humans watch movies. Humans listen to music. Humans want experience, right? And so perhaps one of those big, an Apple, right? Because they own Maps. They've got Apple Maps that could fold right into their content, so that not only they know where we're going, but they know what we're doing.
Yep.
Really important.
Amazon, I will 100% agree with you, Jem, on the Amazon thing. They already have influencer pages as well on Amazon. People can leave reviews on products. They've gotten into some video for that. But like you said, the show, like all those Amazon products, which I think already took most users by storm when it came out. Now everyone else is trying to play catch up. So I think that's a great point. And then to Phil's point, whether Disney Plus gets involved or Apple or some other company, obviously besides the big F, I definitely see that happening, because those companies, they already have the infrastructure in place. They've had it in place for a while. And, how many versions of an iPhone are there now? There's what are there? 11,
11, right? So I've got the 11 Plus.
Yeah. So there's 11. And so, people are already accustomed to the products. They're accustomed to the way things work. The company beats to their own drum. Whereas instead of just let me throw stuff out there to people and let me throw stuff out there and force feed them. It's no, people don't want that. Like you guys said, they want to be human. They want to do other things and not just always be tied to their phone, their computer, or whatever. So I think you all make excellent points.
Well, and I think you hit on another great point. If you even think of Apple and Amazon, right? The Alexa plays nice with the iPhone and Apple products. There's a lot of this, to the earlier point of Phil, this collaboration, and that they don't necessarily look at each other as competitors, but more as, you have a niche that people like. I mean, even Disney Plus, right? I can watch Disney Plus on my Apple TV. I can watch it on my iPhone. I can watch it on my computer, whether it's Mac or Windows. And I sometimes think that Facebook's problem is they want to be this closed society that you have to go into them to do everything. And one of the arguments I used to make when I was in government contracting is some of these companies try to be all things to all people. You got to be good at that one thing. And so, Apple's not trying to be Amazon. Amazon's not trying to be Apple. But I sometimes feel like Facebook, they're trying to be everything, right? They use Instagram as, we're going to create Instagram TV to compete with YouTube. And instead of being focused on being that one good thing, they're all over the place. And people are like, I really don't know what to do. And everything's always changing. And to Phil's point about groups, somebody comes in and takes away their group capability. What is Facebook really left with? Because I think there's already a lot of businesses that are extremely frustrated with how Facebook affects them. So guys, this has been an amazing show. we're so thankful that you could join us. This is our first time. We've had 4 people, and you see how smooth this works thanks to StreamYard. What's the best way for folks to reach you, Phil?
Well, you know, whatever you are, if you can spell Gerbyshak, you can find me. So it's Gerbyshak. If you can find me, you can find me on any social platform except for TikTok. I'm working on that. So I was mentioning this on our show, right? I can't, you won't see that. And if you want to see video, I mean, check Christian and I out. We've got social chatter that we do every week. We've had Jim and Tim on the show. We've had a lot of smart folks on the show.
Thank you.
And we try to bring it every single week, trying to bring you the latest and greatest in social media marketing insight that you can actually use, not just pontification, but actually practical.
And Christian, what about you?
So definitely on all the social platforms, to Phil's point, actually, if you can spell my last name, Karasiewicz, you can find me. Actually, I think if you just look up Christian K, you'll probably find me on most platforms. But there or primarily post on the Social Chefs channels. That's primarily where I'm at as well. But yeah, so this has been a lot of fun. A lot of fantastic predictions, I think, for 2020, and I'm excited to see what actually happens in 2020. You know, like how many of these predictions actually come true.
And Tim, any closing thoughts for our audience?
Closing thoughts would be thank you, Christian. Thank you, Phil. Thank you so much for all your support in 2019. We're looking forward to having another awesome lineup. I know we already have a lot of awesome guests lined up for 2020. So just really appreciate all your support and excited to see what actually happens, what Christian was saying in 2020. And thank you, Jim, for saying yes to being my guest for this Tim and Jim show, because the Tim and Jim show without Jim would just be the Tim show, and it just doesn't have the same ring, I don't think.
Well, thank you, everybody. Wishing everybody an amazing 2020. Go roaring into it, and hopefully everyone will be on the other side when we get to the 2030s, because, you know, I would have never thought in 2010 that I would be sitting here doing a live video with 3 other amazing individuals. So happy New Year, everyone. And on Wednesday, Roll Tide beat Michigan.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.